Nobody can pick up winners in the innovation arena, but that doesn't mean that might not be a good process to identify the most suitable one and identify a way to make it work in a capital efficient way. So this is what we will be discussing with Franz Menzl. Franz is Vice President, Technology Innovation and CTO at Factory Automation at Siemens. Hi, Franz.
Hi, Alberto.
So, Franz, first of all, again, just to introduce briefly, again, if I have to use a shorter version for describing what you do, that is difficult to be explained in a short sentence substantially, you are leading the venture builder of Siemens. But before getting into details into that will be the topic of our conversation, might be probably good, Franz, that you briefly introduce yourself and also give our audience a brief overview in terms how a large company like Siemens is overall addressing innovation. There are multiple functions that are currently working on innovating what Siemens does.
Yeah, Alberto, thank you for introducing me. So, Franz, my name, and I'm the Chief Technology Officer of Siemens Factory Automation, and Factory Automation is within Digital Industries. Digital Industries is one of these big businesses within Siemens. And Siemens is, of course, has a long history, of course, a successful history. And we are always looking for how we can reinvent ourselves in order to be and to keep successful today and in the future. And one topic which drives us really most is creating customer value, creating and helping our customers to be successful today and tomorrow. And that means dealing with newest technology, of course, but always keep in mind that every activity on our side should lead at the end to a customer value.
Inside Siemens, there are multiple functions that are currently dealing with innovation. Again, you have a pretty large corporate venture capital entity that is Next 47. It actually is separate from Siemens, is almost independent. What are the other main focal points where Siemens is working innovation? Again, we form a very, very high-level overview.
Yeah, we have different. You mentioned Next 47, which deals as a venture capitalist and supporting startups, of course. We have our smart infrastructure within Siemens. We have mobility in Siemens. We have Healthineers. This is our healthcare segment of business within Siemens, and we have digital industries. These are the four industrial businesses driven within Siemens.
Focusing on what you do, you want to say that you are in digital industries, you have design, you define a sort of validation engine. Again, that comes out of what you define a validation framework. And again, at the beginning, I was mentioning one of your headlines that are nobody can pick up winners, but doesn't mean that might be a good way to try to do so, right? And so, can you briefly explain us what is the framework that you guys are currently using? What is different? What you've learned also from your prior experiences? Because again, typically, nothing is final. We are always in the making. We are learning. Again, if I can remember, you are currently a batch number 4 of your iteration. So that means that you have 3 back, 1 is current, you have more ahead of you, and probably every time you run it, there is some new learnings. So what has been, first of all, the framework that again is inspiring your way of doing?
Yeah. My personal journey in trying to do innovation, and I mean, there is always innovation. Every company deals with innovation, and there are different kinds of innovation. There are, of course, the innovation you do in your core business as a company, and this is a kind of linear innovation. And in opposite, you have an explorative innovation. And I'm within my organization, I'm responsible for these 3 development teams, let's say, looking and searching and hopefully finding at the end of the day new business opportunities adjacent and beyond our core business. We are very successful in our core business, and our core business is automation. And for instance, today we can perfectly automate the known. But what's about tomorrow? And tomorrow, we because of different topics, we have to think about automate the unknown. And of course, technology plays a big role in this automate the unknown. But as I said in the beginning, there is always a very important part that we should take care of. And that means, are we able to really create an offering to our today's and tomorrow's customers, which has a big positive impact on their success. And as I said, we are a very successful technology-driven company, and we have really engaged and very competent teams in terms of technology. But my experience is, if we start with technology in an innovation, it most of the time turns out that this creates not such a high customer value that we expect. And therefore, I differentiate between two let's say, goals of technology. If you bring new technology, and the newest one is ChatGPT, or all these large language model topics, all these AI topics, it is very important to show to our customer that we are aware of this new technology, that we think about what could be done with this new technology in combination with our core business, with our existing portfolio elements. And that is important to also for us to have an idea about the chances out by this new technology. But in addition, we have to take care, as I said, to create customer value and to think about customer value. You have to start with customer problems. You have to listen to customer. You have not to think about the solution and how technology can help you with the solution. You have really to start from the beginning with listen to as much customers as possible and try to understand what is a high value customer pain, And that means dealing 80% of your ideation phase with talking, listening, and understanding customers. And then consider how a solution could be.
I think what you say first before, one thing that I think is super relevant, and I'd like to reiterate because it was important. You say we are very, very good in what we are doing today, that is automation, and actually we are super good at automating what we know, that is the known. But how to, again, looking forward is the big question is how to automate the unknown, meaning how we can continue to do our business, our core business with new ingredients. You mentioned ChatGPT, maybe others. And if I want to challenge you even a bit more is, but are we sure that the future of Siemens will be still in automation? So again, it's not just the automating the unknown, it's also dealing with the unknown in a totally different way, because maybe automation will no longer be your critical factor of success. So again, this is what I want to challenge you even a bit more, because again, obviously it's clear that you are stretching what you're doing, but I probably is one step further. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, that is also a good question. Are we sure? Yes, we are sure, Alberto. I think we are in the golden age of automation now because of different reasons. Think about this lack of talents and all these trends in the world. So we are very, very closely watched to what is going on in the world in order to also find out and plan and have a clear strategy about our business. And therefore, this is another beside our activities in the how you do innovation in a modern way. We also use methodology called strategic foresight to think about in scenarios, to think about what could happen in the future and what would be our answer to that. One big topic of strategic foresight is dealing with trends, and not only technology trends, dealing with political, social, all these different trends in the world, and try to arrange it around us, and how can we build on what would be a good chance, what would be a challenge, and so on. But coming back to your question, Alberto, we strongly believe, because of different reasons, that automation will have a bright future, even more bright future than we have today.
Yeah, again, but looking at what is happening on AI, probably yes, you're right. But I wanted just to put a bit more salt on the discussion, because again, it looks like you're looking forward, replacing known with unknown. That is a lot, but still keeping the core as is. But I think that's why we will change. Going back to the digital industry validation engine, the one that you're running, that actually is you internally define it as a sort of acceleration program. I think probably if we want to use a more standard definition, is the venture builder of Siemens is something that is uploading, front loading all the ideas that are coming from inside Siemens. You assess them, and then you put them in what you call an innovation funnel, and try to, more and more standard way understand what the one that have the potential reason to move to the next step, and then to the next step, to the next steps. I would like that you maybe describe how the entire process, how the entire flow works, starting from ideation, where the ideas come from, and then how the assessment is run, and then what are the different steps.
Right. Let's start with how did we innovation in the past. And the past is as I said, in 2019, my personal journey of thinking about how can we do innovation different. way in former times. So we start with technology, and we developed a prototype, and then we are looking for customers. This is invest ahead of learning. And of course, there are projects then investing 3 years and of time, resources, money, and so on, and then it turns out there is no customer need at the end of the day. It's the same game in internal or corporate than you find external or you find in that startup scene. 90% of the startups failed because there is no market need.
Yeah.
And as you said, Alberto, I strongly believe that nobody can pick winners. So you have to do as much experiments as you can with few resources. And resources are always limited. So we have a dedicated amount of budget. And now the challenge is do as much experiments as possible with a dedicated amount of budget, and that leads to the question, how can you make sure that you make as much experiments as possible, but keep every experiment as cheap as possible? And that leads us to the point that we need some mechanism, some methodology that enables and empowers the teams to ask the right question at the right time. And we look outside the world and inside the world, our corporate, of course, and then we find out that there are mechanisms already existing outside, and we did a partnership at that time, and we are already in the partnership with Bosch, and Bosch has a lot of experience in how you should do innovation in a modern way, especially in the exploration, the explorative innovation. And we started
referring to the Bosch accelerator, right?
Yeah, that is right. That is our partner. And we start this partnership 2.5 years ago. And this is an excellent example, by the way, for an innovation ecosystem, because Bosch is in some areas a competitor to us, but we are able to collaborate in that area of how you do innovation. And this is a fantastic, by the way, for me, it's also a fantastic success story in how two big corporates can collaborate and create, at the end, value out of this collaboration. So coming back to your question, it's about, yes, we have our innovation framework, which is based on the Bosch innovation framework. We adapted it to our needs, let's say, to our corporate, our digital industries, and we use it now. We use it almost 2 years, and this innovation framework is a curriculum, a very powerful curriculum that again asks and helps the teams ask the right question at the right time and come to a conclusion at the end. The team itself decides about a go or a stop. And this is, again, out of my experience. I was so often part of an committee, of a decision committee, and the team pitches in front of us. And then I have to decide based on the pitch, yes, I invest, or no, I do not invest. And if I say no, I do not invest, I don't believe in your ideas, the teams are frustrated.
Yeah.
If I say yes, the teams are happy. But to be honest, how should I know it better than the teams? Should we continue or not? And that was also, if I see some frustration on the team side. So this was also one of the trigger points that I decided we have to do something different. And the beautiness of this innovation framework is we could address three main strategic goals. First, empower the teams to think from the customer and to think in business opportunities. Then empower the teams to decide about go and stop based on evidence out of a huge number of customer interviews. And the third strategic goal is create full transparency to our investors in order to build up trust, because if you do explorative innovation, of course you will fail. Remember, 90% of the startups fail. And in corporates, this is also the truth. We will fail in most of our activities. This is part of the game. And therefore you burn money. And it is our responsibility also in respect to the teams in our collaboration in our corporate that earn some money, that we are really conscious about the fact that of course we burn money, but we should limit it, the amount of burning money, and at the end also create successful new businesses. And that all stands behind the innovation framework and the use of the innovation framework.
Going through the different phases, it can be also useful to get some numbers in terms to see how many projects come through and move to the next steps. Not because there is a value in the numbers, we will give the sense of how the funnel is converging. Can you give us some example of the different phases, how many ideas are onboarded, how it's structured?
Yeah, the digital industries innovation framework consists of two phases. Phase one is about 8 weeks. And the main outcome of phase one is talking to 100 customers. Really 100 customers. This is quite a lot. We are in a B2B area, business to business area, and therefore 100 customers is quite a lot.
It's a lot, yes.
Of interviews, really, it's quite a lot, and it's a pain and a big challenge also for the teams having access to 100 customers. This is really a big challenge and a big stress also for the teams. Phase one, 8 weeks, talking to 100 customers. And after phase one, based on the information coming from customers, the teams decide, yes, we go into phase two, or no, we stop our idea, or we have to pivot. We start with hypothesis, and we have maybe, and that is not maybe, this is in most of the cases the truth, that we have to adapt our starting hypothesis after these customer interviews. Then there is phase two. Phase two is about 7 months. And in phase two, you or the team starts developing a minimal viable product and discuss it with the customers. And one of the biggest challenge in phase two is finding pilot customers for your MVP, and not only finding these customers, also prove the willingness to pay from customer side.
Mm-hmm.
And that is really a big challenge. It sounds easy, but it is really a challenge. And that means the team have to address customers and the customer has to pay for using this pilot. And I would also like to add that we talk about not only one pilot customer, we talk about pilot customers. You often hear that you should have a partner which make a customer co-creation. And in my experience, if you are looking for a scalable business, it's not the right approach doing development together with one customer, because out of there is a high probability that you make this one customer happy, but there is really no evidence that this will turn out to a scaling business.
Yeah.
Therefore, we decided if we are looking for a scalable product, we decided to do pilots and not co-creation with customers. So again, phase 1, 8 weeks, 100 customer interviews. Phase 2, 7 months, and 2 to 3 paid pilots. These are, let's say, success factors on which the team decides to continue, to stop, or to pivot.
So the next phase is incubation, right?
After the innovation framework, there is incubation. So after phase 2, after a successful validation of phase 2, the teams start into incubation. So Alberto, you are asking for numbers.
Yeah.
So you mentioned it. We are in batch 4. So we have operated batch 1, 2, and 3.
Mm-hmm.
In total, batch 1, 2, and 3, we have 55 applications. 31 of these 55 ideas / teams started into we call the digital industry validation engine, which is based on our innovation framework. 55 teams applied, 31 teams started in the validation engine. These teams talk to more than 1,500 customers, real customers, in order to validate their ideas. And out of these 31 teams, 18 teams decided to stop, and 13 teams decided to go. That means 55 teams applied. At the end, 13 teams decided to continue with the idea. And the other teams decided by itself to stop. No committee. The teams decided based on the evidence out of the interviews and to stop the idea.
So substantially 15 dropping down to 13, that is, let's say, 1 out of 5, sort of, but that means they're not viable business. I think they're currently in the incubation phase, that, if I'm not wrong, is another 12 months. And after, you will decide how many of these 13 will move to scaling phase, and how many of them will probably decide not to continue. So that is the overall flow. And you mentioned that the team are, at the end, the ultimate decision makers in terms of continue or not continuing. The question that I have for you is, how much is, again, who is paying for the cost of all the different phases, and how much the different businesses and the different ideators in a certain way have to contribute to this kind of cost? Because again, if you are part, not just of the ideation, but also part of the budgeting, probably you might definitely have a more fair view if deciding was to unplug, right? Because again, I'm doing something I think is not worth of. I always structure that.
Yeah, maybe you have heard about these, Alberto. McKinsey designed this three horizon model. Three
Yeah.
horizon, and behind this is it is part of this famous book from my side, famous book, The Alchemy of Growth.
Yeah.
And the three horizon, it's about ambidexterity, dealing using both hands from an organizational standpoint. Exploitation means doing your current business and growing your current business. And exploration means, this is Horizon 3, looking for the future, additional new business opportunities beyond your core business. So this model, these Horizon 1, Horizon 1 core business, Horizon 2 grow business based on your core business, and Horizon 3 is about new business opportunity beyond our core. So we do our budget allocation according to this model. So we as an organization, as Factory Automation, decided to spend 70% of our R&D budget in Horizon 1. We decided to do 20% of our R&D budget in Horizon 2 and spend 10% of our R&D budget in Horizon 3. And this is a top-down decision. And that ensures that we have budget available, a limited budget, but it's good. I would recommend not to spend more than 10%. I think 8 to 10% of R&D allocation in Horizon 3 is good. It's a very, very good amount of budget. And therefore, we are somehow able to invest our money in explorative innovation, and we have the freedom and the autonomy to do so.
Mhm.
And also we decided to have really separation between exploitation and exploration, because both are really completely different in terms of culture, mindset, and of course, how you measure success. You can't measure success of a new explorative innovation, a new venture, let's say. You can't measure success of a new venture in the same way you measure success in an existing business. You have to have different KPIs, not EBIT, not revenue, not whatever. You have to have different KPIs in order to allow these new venture to grow and not to kill it.
So going back to my prior question, is who is paying for the validation phase 1, for the validation phase 2? Is your unit is paying the cost of that? The business, the originators are contributing. How
Yes,
does
this
it?
is, we as Factory Automation, and that is what I try to explain with the three horizon.
Okay.
We really allocate our budget in different buckets, and therefore the overall the business unit, the Factory Automation, is paying this explorative
Okay.
innovation.
And when did it will be then over to some other unit in the scaling phase and the incubation phase afterwards?
Yes, also a very good question, Alberto. Now we are, as I said, on a journey, and the plan is with our maturest new venture to transfer it from our safe harbor, our greenhouse, and we in our organization, we are that greenhouse, and we transfer this successful new venture after the incubation phase to our existing business in order to lever the unfair advantage of a big corporate.
Yeah.
And this unfair advantage is we have a powerful sales organization, we have a powerful marketing organization, and in the beginning of we talk about internal startups, right? And in the beginning of a startup in a large corporation, this is really a hard life compared to a startup outside of a collaboration of a corporate. Sorry, but at the end, if you can use all these existing functions of a corporate as a startup, this accelerate your success in a very, very good and unbelievable way if you do it right. If you do the scaling right, you will profit from being a startup within a corporate.
Yeah, the problem is finding the right time to do the handover, because again, if it's too early, you kill them.
Yes.
If it's too late, you're losing opportunities. So the timing is the essence here. So I think it's something probably you need also to learn as it happens and to see what is the best time to move on. Just to coming to the end of our conversation, first of all, there are any of the ventures that has been originated thus far that you are comfortable to share, to some example of something valuable that are coming out from your experience?
Yes, I mean the three most mature new ventures we are very proud on is a venture dealing in this robotic AI area, and this is Alberto, as I mentioned it, this is the automation of the unknown, because this new portfolio element is able to grasp parts which are not known to the robot. And this is our first one. The second one is, we call it data-driven business. It is how can we use data in order to create customer value and business. And the third one is in the area of batteries. How can we increase quality in the battery cell production?
Mm-hmm. Okay, perfect. That is super interesting. So we definitely will follow up of the progress of these three most mature ventures, and hopefully some more that will come afterwards. To conclude our conversation, beyond thanking you for this very, very insightful discussion, is if you have to provide some advice from what you've learned in the past 3-4 years, trying to putting this validation engine on the road and making it run it. What has been the main tips that you are comfortable to share with your colleagues that are trying to do something similar or they're doing something similar?
So I'm happy to share my experience. So my strong belief is that for a sustainable success, you have to do both exploitation and exploration. And you have and typically we are the corporates are very, very good in doing exploitation, but you have to do exploration in the same way, also in the same professional way. Our first takeaway is doing exploitation and exploration in order to have a sustainable, successful business.
Okay.
The second takeaway is nobody can begin us. The only group that decides about success or fail are our customers. And therefore, take the time, listen carefully to the customers, and find high value customer pain you can address with a good solution. And the third takeaway is learn ahead of investment. Do as much experiments as possible and always start with a customer.
That's a good rules, and definitely again from moving from generic concept into viable proposition, there is a lot of also fine tuning and daily learning. So I definitely thank you for sharing all of this, Franz. It's been a very, very insightful conversation, and we'll definitely keep an eye on you guys because, again, what you are doing is super interesting for all the others. So, thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Alberto. Thank you so much, and looking forward to our next conversation.